Good evening. I would like to call the Tuesday, May 23rd, 2023 Housing and Redevelopment Authority meeting to order. I would like to note we do have a quorum. So starting this evening, the first item is the approval of the agenda. Are there any additions, corrections to this evening's agenda? Okay. Hearing none, is there a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Lewis and a second by Commissioner Mueller. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please do so by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Moving on to item 3.1 is the approval of the May 9th, 2023 HRA Board meeting minutes. Are there any questions? Hearing none, we are looking for a motion to approve the May 9th, 2023 HRA Board meeting minutes. So moved. In a second?
Second.
Motion by Chair Hukim, second by, oh my goodness, Commissioner Wooten, sorry. Sorry about that. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor of approving the May 9th, 2023 HRA Board meeting minutes, please do so by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 6-0 with Martin abstaining. Oh, sorry, 5-0. Moving on to organizational business. 4.1, staff is looking to approve Baker Tilly as the HRA's municipal advisor. May we have the staff report, please?
Thank you, Chair Huhim. Erica Coleman, HRA Administrator. So the board is asked to reaffirm Baker Tilly US LLP, better known as Baker Tilly, as the city HRA Port municipal advisor, but this action here today is for the HRA. The 2023-2027 service agreement was approved by the City Council on December 19th, 2022. The not to exceed amount is $750,000 for the 5-year agreement. It is expected that all municipal advisor services for Bloomington will be led by Elizabeth Bergman. And as part of the normal annual organizational business, the municipal advisor must be named. And so I'd be looking for a motion of approval, and I can answer any questions that you have.
Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, we will be looking for a motion to approve the award of 5-year contract to Baker Tilly US LLP to provide municipal advisor support services for the HRA, and to authorize mayor and city manager to enter into the related agreements.
So moved.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion by Commissioner Mueller and a second by Commissioner Lewis to approve the award of the 5-year contract to Baker Tilly US LLP to provide municipal advisor services for the HRA and to authorize mayor and city manager to enter into the related agreements. Are there any questions or discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Moving on to item of 4.2 is the appointment of the external auditor. The HRA is asked to designate Redpath and Companies as the HRA's external auditor for the fiscal year ending 2022. May we have the staff report?
Thank you, Chair Huhim. Erica Coleman, HRA Administrator. So on November 14th, 2022, the City Council did approve a contract with Redpath as the city's external auditor for the fiscal year ending 2022 through year ending 2026 financials. Redpath and Company's not to exceed amount is $667,600 through January 1st, 2027. Broken out, that is $469,500 for city services, $133,100 for HRA services, and $65,000 for port services. I can stand for any questions, and I'd be looking for a motion of approval.
Are there any questions? Hearing no questions, we'll be looking for a motion to designate Redpath and Company as the HRA's external auditor for fiscal year ending 2022.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Lewis and a second by Commissioner Wooten to designate Redpath and Company as the HRA's external auditor for the fiscal year ending 2022. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Okay, moving on so quickly quickly tonight. To item 4.3, which is the National Home Ownership Month. May we have the staff report?
Thank you, Chair Huhim. June is actually National Homeownership Month across the nation, and it is a time to recognize the value that owning a home brings to families, communities, and neighborhoods across America. This was something that in 1995, National Homeownership Week was began by a strategy of President William Clinton's administration to increase homeownership across the nation. And then in 2002, President George W. Bush expanded the observance to the entire month of June. And so homeownership, as we know, is a major source of generational wealth, and for many Americans is an essential part of the American dream. And during Homeownership Month, we would like to recommend a proclamation that is under consideration by the mayor to recognize the value that owning a home brings to individuals, households, and communities, and acknowledging that observing Homeownership Month, we are acknowledging the importance of housing, whether owning or renting, or those that are aspiring to rent, and then that we would acknowledge the work that the HRA specifically does through our Journey to Homeownership and our home stretch courses around increasing access to the opportunity of homeownership. And so what I am looking for this evening is just a motion to approve a proclamation recommendation establishing June 2023 as Homeownership Month in Bloomington. And this would be a proclamation that would be drafted and have to go through the process of equity and legal review for the final approval by the mayor. So I'm just looking for that motion of approval.
Motion to approve?
Are there any questions? Okay. Hearing none, we have a motion to approve the proclamation recommendation establishing June 23rd as National Home Ownership Month in Bloomington. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Wooten and a second by Commissioner Mueller to approve the proclamation recommendation establishing June 2023 as National Home Ownership Month in Bloomington. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor, please state so by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0.
Yes, thank you, Chair Huhim. One last thing, I can follow up with the board if it is so approved to bring a proclamation forward. Then I would ask that anyone and everyone from this body, if you are willing to accept that proclamation, that opportunity would be available to do so. So I will follow up after going forward with this item to let you know what is the next steps.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, and thanks for bringing this to us. Moving on to discussion items, item 5.1 is the Bloomington Housing Action Team. May we have the staff report?
Yes, thank you, Chair Huhim. So I wanted to bring back to you the Bloomington Housing Action Team. This is a team that has been around, that has used engagement and been very effective in the recommendation of different programs and policies and actions that have gone forth. It did start out as the NOAA Working Group, so Naturally Occurring Affordable Housing. It started out as the NOAA Working Group and had quite a few strategies after going through a process of identifying priorities and strategies that were very successful. Our Opportunity Housing Ordinance, our 90-day tenant protection ordinance, those came out of recommendations and engagement from this team that includes stakeholders, community members, different nonprofits and entities that are all working in the various housing space. Since the pandemic, and since we have had our assessment of the HRA and the Port Authority, and then we've had our strategic planning for the city, Bloomington Tomorrow Together, it was brought to my attention, as well as others on different boards and commissions, that we want to collaboratively work more together with the community around housing and housing-related concerns. Therefore, it is now the Bloomington Housing Action Team, a collaboratively led group by the HRA, the Advisory Board of Health, Human Rights Commission, Planning Commission, and Sustainability Commission. And so the liaisons of those boards and commissions work together internally to meet and make sure that we are coordinating on what our work plans are, what our direction is from leadership, and then moving forward with the purpose of the BHAT, which is designed as a coalition that will evolve to frame and steer our strategic focus as we collectively work to assist to preserve the affordability and vitality of communities in the city of Bloomington. Our intention is to mitigate market disruptions with adverse impacts on existing residents and work with a diverse range of strong partners to ensure that current residents, no matter where they work, have a stable, affordable place to call home. The BHAT works to identify strategies to support housing opportunities for residents at all income levels. These strategies are intended to increase housing to better meet the diverse needs of Bloomington residents and reduce barriers and displacement. And so what that looks like is that the team, which is made up, again, stakeholders, community members, those with lived experience, different advocates and supporters in the housing space, working together along the areas of renter health, houselessness and/or those experiencing homelessness, energy efficiency, and housing preservation and creation. As a team, it will only be able to make recommendations to the respective boards and commissions. And so what that looks like is because the liaisons are involved, the staff are involved, items that align with the work plans that are approved by the boards and commissions and the city council would go back to those boards and commissions, and then if there is an action item or a recommendation, that would need to come before the city council. So I'm just giving you an update on the structure of the BHAT and that we will be meeting, changing the meetings to be in the evenings every other month. So, and it will be in person. And so we're getting ready to send out some information to those that have identified on that list. And then we also want to make sure that we are just incorporating the ongoing engagement and voices of our community members as we work better together. Are there any questions?
Are there any questions? This was just a discussion item, so I just want to say thank you for bringing this to us, Administrator Coleman. It's good to know what's going on there. I'm looking, may I ask, when is the first meeting?
Thank you for the question, Commissioner Huhim. The first meeting is June 6th, first Tuesday of every other month at Fire Station number 3.
Perfect. Wonderful. Thank you. We're going to move on to discussion item 5.2, which is development updates. May we have the staff report on that?
Yes, thank you, Chair Huhim. I just wanted to come back because there are a few different things. Either the HRA is managing and or owns land, so I just wanted to make sure the board was updated. So the first one is we do own the site known as Days Inn, where the Days Inn was removed. And I just want to let the body know that there will be some actions that are coming before the board and the city council, as we do have a development agreement with that potential developer, and they do have a requirement to satisfy certain benchmarks on or before the August of 2023. And so due to scheduling, some items may go to city council first, but then the items that pertain to the HRA would come to the HRA. So I just wanted to update that. Second of all, the city did pass a resolution for the HRA to manage the marketing and potential sale of the lots known as the Ralph lots, which are off of 82nd and Humboldt. Just wanted to update that we are still working through that process. Ralph, right-of-way acquisition loan fund. The quick background is that there are lots that are purchased using the right-of-way acquisition loan fund, Ralph, for MnDOT. So there may be a need for highway expansion or stormwater retention or something that ties to that type of transportation. And so those properties are purchased voluntarily and held if and when that plan comes to fruition. Well, MnDOT has released 5 lots. Those are off of 82nd and Humboldt that they said, actually, we don't need them for that plan that we had 20 years ago. So we will allow the city to sell those. So right now, going through that process of understanding what the value of the lots are, understanding what the amount is that's owed on them, and taking next steps to make sure that it aligns with our goals and mission as an HRA and as a city, which are all the same, of creating more housing opportunities and especially affordable housing opportunities. So I just wanted to update you that we're still working through those processes, and we may have something coming forward within this summer for possibly information and or decision making on. And then lastly, 9030 Park Avenue South. This is the lot that we have a memorandum of understanding with West Hennepin Affordable Housing Land Trust, doing business as Homes Within Reach. They have received the funding from Minnesota Housing, which was approved for new construction on this site in particular. And they had to wait to start the project until all contracts were executed. And so that took some time. They are now executed. And so from Walt, they do expect to bring something before us to present on a project early June. And so that may be the next meeting that we have, that we may see something in an update and maybe an ask from West Hennepin Affordable Housing Land Trust around that site at 9030 Park. And I can stand for any questions if there's anything else I missed.
Are there any questions?
Excuse me, I have a question. What are the proposals for the 82nd and Humboldt? Is it single-family housing or multiple?
Thank you, Chair Huhim and Commissioner Mueller. Thank you for that question. So actually, this body, the HRA, did approve applying for funding with the Met Council for the LHIA, which is the Local Housing Initiatives Account, pilot affordable home ownership funding. And so in that pilot, we were awarded up to $300,000 for up to 4 units. And so how that worked is that when this body approved that application, they also approved the match, which is that the HRA would have up to $300,000 for up to 4 units. So that is up to $150,000 in subsidy per unit to allow for affordable home ownership with a development partner, which is Habitat for Humanity. And so there are 5 lots being released. And on those 5 lots, we applied for funding that we said we would do at least 4 units. The reason I am saying it this way is because some of those lots may be able to have more than 1 unit on the lot. So to answer your question, we would be looking at single family and 2 family at minimum. And then we would see if, I don't know if it is, we haven't talked about it, but if townhomes would be something that would be likely, I'm not quite sure, because we could do single family and 2 family right away.
Are there any other questions? Okay, this was a discussion item, so moving on, it looks like we are at commissioner questions and comments. Are there any questions and comments this evening? I actually do have one. Just trying to wrap my head around kind of the new direction that we're taking. So if land becomes available within the city, is it something that the HRA is looking to purchase or showing interest in, if there's like a public sale of land or not?
Thank you for the question, Chair Huhim. Potentially. And that's been in the past, that if there was land and or structure that came available for sale, if the HRA had interest or the city or the Port Authority had interest, that they would look at purchasing that. So, yes.
That was all. Thank you. Okay, with that, we have reached the end of our meeting, so we will be looking for an adjournment and closing the Tuesday, May 23rd, 2023 Housing Redevelopment Authority meeting. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
I move to adjourn the meeting.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion by Commissioner Lewis and a second by Commissioner Mueller to adjourn the Tuesday, May 23rd, 2023 Housing and Redevelopment Authority meeting. All those in favor, please do so by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. Thank you.